Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about fresh release from Miniart. It's a kit in 1/35 scale which copies NVA T55A, and you can notice that it's a kit number 37083, but this time we get I would say a simpler version because it does not include an interior, so it might be more attractive for some modders who don't want to spend their time with internals. They would like to focus on the external features, and this is a commercial sample, so it means you will get exactly the same stuff as what you'll see in this video review. So we are going to open this box and check what is supplied in this nice package. You can notice that we have really beautiful box art. Here is comparison with my hand. Next, on the side here you will find some safety information and address of the manufacturer. Of course, it's not a toy, and note that copyright is dated by 2021 obviously. Next, on the opposite side you'll see 4 marking options which are included into this kit. I would say that's okay, because I think they are something to choose out of from, so I guess you'll find something interesting for your build. And this is a top opening box, so just give me a second to open it. Here's what we have inside, so quite a tight package. And note again, I will remind you that we are dealing with interior-less version, so there are no interior parts, but still you can see that there is barely any space. And all frames are packed into the same plastic bag, so I'm going to remove them from this bag and we will check everything together in order to see what is actually supplied in this nice box. So just give me a second to take scissors and we will open this bag. In the meantime, I can also remind you that you can support us with a small donation. We have a special support DSV button on our website, so it's quite easy thing to do. And of course you will decide how much we will get, so all this money will be used for new kits to be reviewed on our channel. And some of you already helped. You saw video reviews which were organized, let's say, with your help, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. It helps us to find some interesting models to be reviewed. So what I'm showing here is the envelope. Usually Miniart packs PE parts in such envelopes, and I guess this kit is not an exclusion from this rule, because here we have unpainted PE thread. Here you can see it. So all these parts will be used for external features, and that's really cool because it will add some fine details to the model, and you actually don't have to spend any extra money for that. You get it as a, let's say, standard bonus, and it's just a matter of careful installation. Do not underestimate these parts. They will require due care because of their size and because in some areas they might be a bit tricky to install, so definitely get some special tools in order to work with those. Next, we continue with decals. So decals are printed in Decograph. You can see that printing quality looks really nice, and I think it will be easy to apply them on your model. So it's just a matter of careful application, maybe choosing the marking you would like to see on your model, and you'll be good to go. Of course, if you are brave enough, you can replicate these numbers or digits with your own brushes and masks, but that's up to you. Next, we continue with clear parts which were packed into the same plastic bag together with decal sheet. So here you can see first set of lenses for headlamps and taillights. And next we have one more plastic sprue. This one is dedicated to periscopes and some other lenses for searchlight and various other devices on the tank. So molding quality looks fine, but as usual, Miniart does not provide any masking templates, so you will have to cut them with your own hands and tools. Next, we start with the first gray plastic sprue. So here I will have to zoom out because it's quite big, as you can see. So here we have a lower hull panel as well as some external bits. So there might be also some interior parts. For example, here we have a special stock for the ammo shells, but obviously it won't be used because we are dealing with a version without interior. Note that even escape hatches are molded separately, so that's really cool because it might be handy in some diorama projects. And here you can take a closer look on the opposite side. Okay. Next, we continue with one more plastic sprue. So this one is dedicated to side panels of the lower hull section. So as you can see, again, we have, I would say, quite nice pre-molded features. Obviously, they will have to be enhanced with separate parts. You will have to drill holes here. Here you can check parts from the opposite side, and we also have quite smart, I would say, design with guiding elements, so it will be easy to align everything together and get the right fitment without any additional, I would say, problems. Next, we continue with two identical plastic frames. So I will show you on one. Here we have parts for fuel tanks, and as you can see, these fuel drums, they will have to be assembled out of several parts. And in my opinion, they look more or less fine, so attachment points are thin enough in order to carefully separate them. So nothing to say extra. And of course, inside here you can see that we have guiding pins, which will help you with the proper alignment of these parts. Next, we also have track parts. So it would be strange to see vinyl tracks in Miniart kit. So these are track links for tracks, and they're made out of plastic. Obviously, it will be a bit tedious thing to assemble, but your model will only benefit from such addition. So definitely do not be lazy, apply them all, and you will see why it's a good thing to have out of the box. Next, we continue with two narrow frames which are connected together. So let's zoom out a bit more. So here you can see that we have a lot of thin parts, and some of them, for example these ones, are really tricky to separate, so you might even consider replacing them with a metal wire, because it would be a good thing to have on your model. But overall molding quality seems to be fine. As you can see, we even have this protection for thin parts here, and that's really good because you saw how tight packaging is in this kit. So it's better to have some protection, at least in form of foam. Next, we continue with more parts for the engine bay. Maybe I'll close the camera a bit so that it won't be that bright. But here you can see that we have some parts for the engine bay. We have also separate hatches, so you can open the engine, which is not included here because this is a version without interior. But still, you might get a separately sold engine and transmission set, install it there and use it for these purposes in order to open the hatch. Next, we continue with these stowage boxes. As you can see, they are assembled out of separate panels. There is nothing, I would say, surprising or unusual. And also, I think Eduard offers you a PE replacement, which will make it possible to open these boxes and use them for your diorama projects. Okay. Next, we have this plastic sprue with turret parts. As you can see, we have mantlet cover. We also have top panels with separate hatches. This might be actually handy for figures placement, so it's up to you whether you will use them or not, but it's always good to show such features. Next, we continue with some parts for the lower hull section. Just give me a second. I will try to sort them a bit. So here we have, for example, these two small frames. We need to zoom in so that you can see them. They will be installed on both sides of the lower hull section. As you can see, these are special guards for the suspension parts. They look more or less fine, so there is nothing to say about them. One more interesting thing is the main barrel, which is molded like this. As you can see, it's a single piece part on four attachment points, but one is placed here in the root, let's say, so it won't be that critical. And as you can see, molding quality looks fine, so it's I would say a viable option in case you don't want to spend extra money for some aftermarket metal upgrade on your model. Next, we continue with parts for fuel tanks, and now I'm trying to understand whether we have more sprues of this type, because I see only 3 frames with these parts. Well, it looks like we do not have, so here they are. These parts will have to be combined together. As you can see, handles are pre-molded, and if I flip it over, here inside you'll find guiding elements. And what is even cooler is that we will be able to replicate all the fuel lines on the tank, something what you will, I would say, not that often see in the T55 kits, even though it is a quite visible thing on this tank. So here it is, I would say, replicated in a full scale. And next we continue with drive sprockets and idlers. They are provided on 2 identical plastic frames. Note that attachment points are between teeth, so you will have to be careful while cutting off these parts from the sprue. Next, here we have 4 identical plastic frames. These ones are dedicated to various hull parts, as you can see, small ones, also the towing cable loops, and everything looks fine, but these parts are really tiny. Here you can see comparison with my hand, so you will have to use tweezers with them, because with bare fingers it might be a really tricky thing to do. Next we continue with 2 identical frames which are dedicated to various external panels. So here you can see them. Okay. But that's not all, there are more small sprues in this kit. So for example, this one will be used for hull and turret features. As you can see, there are even some wirings replicated. And all this stuff will be visible on the model, so you will have to pay attention to these things. Next we continue with 2 identical plastic frames with various small parts. So here you can see the lifting hooks and various small panels which will be installed on the main hull. Okay. And 3 identical plastic frames are dedicated to various suspension parts. Here you can see them. They will be installed on the lower hull section. These thin frames, they will be used on the turret. So it's, I would say, somewhat interesting thing about this kit that you have various parts on different sprues, so pay attention to that. Next we continue, for example, here we have turret parts. We also have spare tracks and some parts for storage boxes. So again, 3 different areas, and you will have to use them all. By the way, I can flip over these tracks. Here you can see them from the opposite side. And next we continue with interconnection between thin frames. So here I think we should zoom out a bit, and you can see that we have turret, which is molded as a single piece part, and it will be combined together with the separate top panels. And again, we have separate hatches. There are also special guiding elements for various external bits, so you shouldn't be worried. And again, molding quality looks fine. But that's not all. We also have small frames for drive sprockets. That's a different type. Again, attachment points are between teeth, and here you can see them from the opposite side. Okay. And one more thing is this wide frame. Here we have some parts for the turret. Especially a tricky thing is this thin ring in the corner, so be sure to use the plastic saw with this part, because otherwise you might end up with a broken part. But other than that, I do not see any difficulty in the assembly process, so I'm going to open one more plastic bag which is dedicated to narrow plastic sprues. And by the way, here you can also see the glacis plate, which is placed here, and it's quite thick. I guess it was done in order to replicate the thickness on the Rio tank, so quite a cool thing to have. And next we continue with some narrow frames, as I said before. So here we have some suspension parts and road wheels. I will show them in a second. So here are the road wheels, and note that they are molded together with the rubber section, so you will have to be careful while painting them. We also have some small plastic flash in these cutouts. Of course, it will have to be removed. Here you can see them from the opposite side. And next we also have a narrow plastic frame with more parts for the lower hull section. So here we have suspension arms and some other bits. But that's not all. There is one more plastic frame, I would say type, because here we have some parts for storage boxes, also for the turret features. And as you can see, everything looks cool, so it's just a matter of careful installation and assembly. Of course, inside we have all the necessary guiding elements, so you shouldn't be worried about that. And now we can move on to the assembly manual. So this one is printed in form of typical Miniart brochure. Here I will have to close the lenses a bit so that it won't be that bright. And as you can see, we have short list of the features on the cover. Next, I flip over the page and we have first marking option and also a parts map. As usual, Miniart does not show which parts are unused, so you will have to be careful while choosing the right part. And colors chart is provided in several manufacturer designations. See, we have Tamiya, we have AK, we have Mr. Color of Alejo, and Mission models together with Amamic, so definitely you'll find something suitable for your build. And one more page or several pages for the parts map. Here we start assembly with the lower hull section. As you can see, everything, a lot of parts go actually on the lower hull panel, so be ready to work with all this stuff. We also get to choose whether we would like to have a movable suspension with torsion bars or we would like to have it fixed. Next we continue with some external bits installed here and there. We start working on the sidewalls for the lower hull section. Here you can see them getting installed into the place. And then we install top hull panels. As you can see, all of them are separate. Do not forget to drill some holes in various panels. They're let's say shown with this special sign, and it will be necessary in order to install various external bits, so definitely do not miss any of this, because later it will be really difficult to fix it if you miss something. Here we can see assembly option for the open driver sketch, and next we continue with front mud guards, which will be combined together with the PE parts. And here we have some parts installed on the engine bay, also side shells. And again, various separate hatches for the engine bay. And there also you have to use the P parts. Also here we assemble the rear mud guards, assemble the stowage boxes and install them on the side shelves. Fuel tanks, as I said before. Next we continue with various minor bits, and by the way, here you can see fuel system copied with help of plastic parts. And next, more storage boxes go here and there. We assemble the fuel tanks or fuel drums, and then we install various Pioneer tools and suspension parts here. Actually the drivetrain, so as you can see, it's road wheels together with idlers and drive sprocket. We assemble tracks, so each track link will assemble or contain 91 tracks. And here we continue with towing cables, where you have to use your own metal wire. We assemble the machine gun and start working on the main gun, which will be installed in the turret. So even though this is a version without interior, still main gun will feature some stuff inside the turret. Of course you can open all these hatches, which you can see here, so that's also quite a handy feature. A lot of small P parts to be applied here and there on the turret, so it will be also, I would say, something what you will spend a lot of time on. Here we assemble the on-turret machine gun, some stowage boxes which are installed on the turret, tarp. As you can see, the folded canvas is getting fixed with help of P parts or P belts, let's say. Here we continue with the searchlight. As far as you can see, that's actually a hood special for the commander's hatch, and it can be copied in deployed or stowed position, and that's pretty much all. So we have 90 steps to perform. Here we have second and third marking option, and here's the fourth marking option in a green color. So all in all, we have a quite interesting kit in 1/35 scale. It should be already available, and as I said before, it might be attractive for modelers who don't want to work with interior parts. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such a list. Do not forget to write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!